Welcome to the Crazy Black Church Girl podcast. My name is Deidre and I'm your host. This is a safe space for us to discuss everything mental wellness in the Black community and in the church. I'm so glad you're here. Sit back, relax, and let's enjoy this conversation. Our topic for today is embracing your crazy. Now, what exactly is embracing your crazy? Embracing your crazy is just acceptance of the fact that this is what it is. This is who I am, and let's move on from that. Let's find some solutions. Let's make ways for my life to be more livable in this society. Let's improve my quality of life through treatment and therapy and medication sometimes. So yeah, this is what it is. I have a mental illness or I have struggles that I deal with, and that's okay. I'm human. But the one thing that we don't want to do is ruminate in the past or dread the future because of our past. We don't want to place judgment on ourselves, and we don't want to place judgment on other people as well. We just know that this is how it is, and that's okay. Acceptance is not a linear process. You don't just get from point A to point B. It's a journey. It's a journey with many roadblocks. It's a journey with many stumbling blocks, but it is doable. Now, how do I embrace my crazy? I was formally diagnosed with mental health issues when I was 19, and that was 37 years ago. So my journey has been very tumultuous. I started off being treated for depression. That was my diagnosis in the beginning. And I started taking medication for that when I was 19. And actually the medication exacerbated depression because it caused me to gain so much weight. And I had so many issues with my appearance and not being accepted for how I looked and being bullied. So that was a bigger problem for me than the depression. But then they came out with drugs. Now, mind you, this was almost 40 years ago. They came out with drugs that had less side effects, such as Prozac. That was the first SSRI that I ever took. And it didn't make me tired, and it didn't make me eat a lot. But I had other issues going on as well. And so through the years, I've been diagnosed with major depression, recurrent, general anxiety disorder, agoraphobia, and PTSD, and also borderline personality disorder. And so that sounds like a lot, right? That sounds like, oh my God, she really is crazy. But I use crazy with a grain of salt. It's not a very, crazy is not a word that's really acceptable, but especially when referring to mental wellness. But I chose to call myself crazy because that's how society saw me. I was a crazy Black church girl, and those were my intersections. That was my reality. I had opposition in the Black community because of my mental illness, and I had opposition and rejection in the church because of my mental illness. And I struggled so much because I couldn't understand why I couldn't just get over it like everybody was telling me. I couldn't understand why I couldn't just pull myself up by my bootstraps and move on. Everybody else was doing it, but why was it so hard for me? Why am I reacting to things like this and nobody else is? Why am I so emotional and other people are so rational? Those were struggles that I had because I just didn't seem to feel like I fit in to general society. But when I finally just accepted the fact that this is who I am, that doesn't diminish all of the good qualities that I have. That doesn't diminish all the good qualities that I have. It just, it is what it is. I'm still Deidre. I'm still creative. I'm still intelligent. I'm still kind. I'm still all of those things. But I just have some mental wellness issues. And the good part about it is, because I've accepted it and just said, okay, this is it. This is what it is. And I want to move on from this. Because of that, I was able to begin treatment, begin therapy, begin finding ways to make my life more livable, make the quality of my life better. And what I had to do, though, is I had to stop listening to the outsiders. My faith in God and the seeds that were planted and the knowledge that I obtained, plus my life experience, has given me a way to accept my mental illness issues. You have to embrace your situation. Embrace your story. What is your story? In the comments, you can tell me if you've ever struggled with mental issues or just issues that you felt like you couldn't overcome. It could be physical things. I also suffer with chronic pain. And I realized that there was a lot of things that I couldn't do anymore as far as physically. And that sent me into a spiral of depression for a long time, like a couple of years, when I was realizing that, hey, I can't do this anymore. I can't move this fast anymore. That was devastating for me because I've always been an active person. But then I just accepted the fact, okay, because of things that I've done in my past, I didn't take care of my body. It's caused me to have several injuries that cause chronic pain in my body. I've accepted it. Now, what can I do about it? That's the question in all of this. If it's mental illness, if it's life struggles, if it's physical illness, what can I do to make the quality of my life better? I'm accepting this. I know that it's not a one-time thing. I thought that acceptance was an event and that once I did it, that was that. But that's not how it is. Acceptance is not linear. It has many stumbling blocks, roadblocks, and detours. But you still can go through the journey successfully. It's a daily thing. I accept this about myself. And now I'm free to do something about it and to live my life to the fullest. If I keep struggling in my mind with, oh, I don't want to be this way. Oh, I don't want to do this. Oh, this is so hard. If I keep struggling with myself like that, I'll never move forward. I was on the verge of being, what do you call it? I don't know if it's called a hermit, but I was on the verge of never leaving my house again. And that was like 2 or 3 years ago. That was not that long ago. I was terrified to leave my house. But because of who I am, I knew that I couldn't stay that way. I had to get out. I have to move around. I have to do stuff because that's just in me. But I do know that it was a journey. I was living in so much fear at that time because of things that had happened. And so much despair that I was afraid to leave my house. And that's when I was diagnosed with agoraphobia. But because I know that I don't want to stay this way, I accepted the fact that I had the problem and that I went ahead and tried to find ways to deal with the problem. How can I do this? Because it's not just about, okay, just get out, just go. It's not that simple when you're dealing with things like that. And the cold part about it is having to be in the midst of people who are able to just get over things, just to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. You're in the midst of that, especially in the church, because they tell you, oh, just pray it away, have more faith. In fact, if you confessed a mental illness in your life, then you were either in sin, or you had no faith, or you were living wrong, or something was wrong with how you were performing. But performance and actual reality are not the same thing. I don't know if that makes sense. But when you're performing, you're not being yourself, And my whole life was based on performance. And so why can't I? My performance is what made me valuable, I thought. How well I performed, whatever area of life I was in, how well I performed is what made me valuable. But I know today that Performance and actual authenticity are two different things. And most of us do. We perform on a daily basis at our jobs and with interactions with people that we don't know. We put on a mask, we put on a different face, and everybody does it to an extent because of society and wanting to be a part of. It's ingrained in us to want to be a part of. So we put on masks to try to fit in, but then we have to depend on putting those masks on constantly and performing in a way that's acceptable to other people constantly, and we never find out who we are authentically. It's important to try to find yourself so you can be yourself, And the main road to finding yourself is acceptance of who you are right now. There may be things that you want to change, but you have to accept who you are right now. Embrace it, Embrace it and don't feel negative about it. Just know that this is my journey, and I was given this journey for a reason, because it's gonna fulfill my purpose, I believe. So I encourage you today to embrace whatever things you think are negative in your life. Just say, okay, is this something I can change right now? Or is this something that I have to deal with over time? Is this something that I have to process? And then when you process stuff, you have to go through a process. It's not just instantaneous. A lot of people feel like Jesus can just come down. If you have enough faith, he's going to come down and sprinkle dust on your head to make everything all right. Sprinkle Jesus dust on your head to make you think that everything is going to be all right. But most of the time, God wants to take us through a process. If we ask him for something, he wants to take us through a process because he knows that the opposition and the struggle will make us stronger. But he also knows that we will learn on the journey. And that's important, I believe, to learn on the journey. I don't believe that God wants us to stay in places where we're suffering constantly. I believe that he wants us to accept what's going on in our lives, and then he can assist us and grace us to deal with it. So embrace your crazy, whatever your crazy may be, and know that you have support, and know that you have community. You are not alone, and know that God is with you. I pray you have a wonderful, wonderful day. I pray that everything you deserve and you desire comes to you. And I will see you next time. Blessings.